He broke your heart. Maybe he betrayed you, dismissed your worth, ignored your presence, or treated you as if you were invisible. In that raw, shattering moment, every part of you aches to lash out, to demand answers, to make him see the depth of his mistake, to force him to feel the weight of what he's thrown away. Your soul screams to confront him, to pour out your pain, to prove you're not the nothing he made you feel. But stop. Take a breath. This is exactly what he's counting on. He's ready for your tears, braced for your anger, prepared for your accusations. Every emotional outburst, even righteous fury, feeds his illusion of control, keeping you tethered to him. It's proof he still matters, that he holds power over your heart. But there's one response he's utterly unprepared for, one that will unravel his world: your silence. Not a bitter, icy silence born of resentment, but a deliberate, radiant silence. The silence of a woman who has chosen herself over chasing someone who couldn't see her value. This silence isn't defeat. It's a declaration of your strength, a beacon for every woman who's ever felt discarded in love, and a promise that you can rise from this pain more powerful than ever. For women who've been wounded by love, those who poured their hearts into relationships only to be met with indifference, betrayal, or dismissal, this silence is your rebellion. It's the moment you refuse to let his actions define you. A man may believe he has power over you as long as you react. Your tears, your pleas, even your rage, they're threads that keep you bound to him, reinforcing his belief that he's the center of your universe. He can walk away, confident that your pain will keep him on a pedestal, that you'll beg for his return or linger in his shadow. But when you choose silence, when you step out of his narrative without a word, you dismantle his control. You leave no script for him to follow, no emotion for him to manipulate. This silence is a void that forces him to turn inward, to face questions he's long avoided. Why is she gone? What did I do? Who am I without her? It's not your words that haunt him. It's their absence, a mirror reflecting a shadow, exposing the fears he's buried, the fear of being insignificant, of losing dominance, of realizing he's not the man he pretended to be. Carl Jung taught that transformation begins in silence, when a person is left alone with their truth. For women disillusioned by love, this silence is your sanctuary. It's where you reclaim the energy you spent trying to fix him, understand him, or make him see your worth. Instead of pouring your heart into a void that never reciprocated, you redirect that energy toward yourself. This isn't about revenge or proving a point. It's about healing, about rediscovering the woman you are beyond the pain of a love that failed you. Imagine the power of this shift. Every ounce of strength you once gave to justifying his actions, analyzing his indifference, or hoping for his change now flows back to you. You're no longer a supporting character in his story. You're the heroine of your own. Picture this. He expects you to chase, to fight, to cling to the wreckage of what was. Instead, you vanish from his orbit, not with a dramatic exit, but with quiet resolve. You don't post cryptic messages or stage a public meltdown. You simply stop participating in his game. This absence is devastating to a man who thrived on your attention. He's used to being the sun, with your world revolving around him. Your love, your patience, your willingness to forgive, they fed his ego, gave him a sense of invincibility. But now, the center has shifted. You are the axis of your universe, and this realignment is catastrophic for someone who assumed he was irreplaceable. He feels it, not because you've told him, but because your energy has changed. You're no longer orbiting him. You're shining on your own. He may try to claw his way back. A half-hearted text, a casual, like on your post, a calculated comment to provoke a reaction, anything to pull you back into his sphere. These are the tactics of a man desperate to regain control, to reassure himself he still matters. But if you stand firm, rooted in your worth, his efforts collapse. He can't predict your moves or manipulate your emotions. Without your response, his playbook is useless. For women who felt trapped in cycles of unrequited love, this is your moment of liberation. You're not just denying him power, you're reclaiming it for yourself. He's no longer the hero of this story. He's a solitary figure left on a crumbling stage, realizing the game he played depended entirely on your participation. This is where the true transformation begins, not in his regret, but in your rebirth. While he grapples with the void of your absence, you're rediscovering your strength. The energy you once spent on him, on decoding his silence, forgiving his slights, or waiting for him to change, returns to you like a tide. It's as if you're gathering the shattered pieces of your heart, the fragments you surrendered in the hope of being enough. This energy no longer feeds his ego. It nourishes your soul. You start asking questions that love's disappointments had buried. What do I want? What brings me joy? How do I build a life that honors me? These questions are a lifeline for every woman who's felt love slip through her fingers. A reminder that your worth isn't tied to someone else's inability to see it. Society has long taught women that walking away is weakness, that strength lies in fighting for love, enduring pain, or proving your value through sacrifice. But this is a lie that breaks the spirit. Clinging to a one-sided love destroys you far more than leaving ever could. True strength isn't in how much you can tolerate. It's in choosing to stop the cycle of pain. For women who poured their hearts into men who gave nothing back, this choice is revolutionary. Walking away takes more courage than staying, because staying is familiar, comfortable, safe. To leave is to challenge the narrative you've been fed, that your value lies in how much you can give, how much you can forgive, how much you can endure. When you walk away, not in a storm of emotion, but with quiet dignity, you embody a power that speaks louder than words. You don't need to explain or justify. You simply refuse to remain where you're not cherished. This silence is more than absence. It's the presence of your resilience. It's a beacon for every woman who's felt discarded, who's wondered if love will ever be kind. You're no longer a victim of his choices or a pawn in his games. You're the architect of your life, building a future where your heart is honored, not trampled. You stop asking, "Why did he hurt me?" and start asking, "Why did I let this linger?" This shift is seismic. It's not about salvaging a broken relationship, but about restoring your boundaries, your peace, your sense of self. Every step you take is a step toward a life free of those who diminish you, where your value flows from within, not from someone else's fleeting approval. As you reclaim your space, physically, emotionally, spiritually, you become the center of your world, not out of selfishness, but by divine right. You no longer need his gaze to feel beautiful, his words to feel confident, or his presence to feel worthy. You fill yourself with your own light, and this inner radiance sparks a transformation that others can't help but notice. You're not just surviving heartbreak, you're blooming through it. Your silence becomes a force he never saw coming. He expected you to beg, to break, to remain tethered to his memory. Instead, you become untouchable, not because you've locked him out, but because you've unlocked yourself. He senses this shift, not through your words, but through the undeniable energy of a woman who's chosen herself. This is when the dynamic inverts. While you were still reacting, he could sidestep the consequences of his actions. Your pain was his proof of relevance, your tears a trophy of his influence. But now, your silence leaves him stranded in the emptiness he created. He checks his phone, hoping for a message that never arrives. He scours your social media, searching for a hint of longing, but finds only your quiet confidence. The absence of your voice, your attention, your heart becomes a void he can't escape. It's no longer a pause between fights. It's the end of the story he thought he controlled. Without your emotional turmoil to shield him, he's forced to face the stark reality of his choices. Every careless word, every act of neglect, every moment he diminished you echoes back, unsoftened by your forgiveness or excuses. Jung wrote, The masculine psyche crumbles when it loses the illusion of control. This is precisely what unfolds. He's not just losing you, he's losing the version of himself he built through your devotion. The man who believed he could come and go, who assumed you'd always wait, now faces a reckoning. Your freedom, your ability to thrive without him, challenges his entire sense of self. If you, the woman he underestimated, emerge stronger, more radiant, more whole without him, his narrative collapses. The fault was never yours, it was his. His actions, his failures, his blindness return to him, demanding accountability he can't evade. You, meanwhile, are no longer the woman he left behind. You're not huddled in despair, replaying fantasies where he finally understands. You're living, truly living, for yourself. You invest in your health, your passions, your dreams. Each day, you build a foundation stronger than the one he shattered. You're not merely recovering, you're reborn. He may try to return, with apologies, gestures, or nostalgic pleas, but you're no longer in the place he abandoned. A woman who realizes her worth doesn't need external validation changes forever. You don't react out of instinct, you choose. And choice is the ultimate expression of power, a lifeline for every woman who's felt love betray her trust. In this space, you find forgiveness, not for him, but for yourself. Forgiveness isn't surrender. It's breaking the chains that tied you to pain. You forgive not to welcome him back, but to free yourself from the resentment that drains your spirit. You don't invite him into your new life. You release yourself to embrace it fully. This act of self-love is mature, unapologetic, and transformative. It's a message to every woman who's felt discarded. You are not defined by the love you lost, but by the love you give yourself. He, however, is left grappling with a loss he can't fathom. He assumed you'd cling, that he could vanish and return at his whim. But the door he once walked through is closed, not out of spite, but through healing. For the first time, he feels the true weight of loss, not just your presence, but access to your heart, your light, your world. This is where his reflection, if he's capable of it, begins. Standing before a door he can no longer open, he senses the shift. Your life no longer revolves around him. There's no space for his manipulations, his half-truths, his excuses. The absence of consequences for you amplifies the consequences for him. He once thought, she'll always come back. Your emotions reinforce this belief. But now, as you move forward, unbroken, thriving, radiant, his certainty falters. Doubt creeps in, first about you, then about himself. If you've moved on, if you're not shattered but soaring, the flaw lies not in you but in him. The truths he avoided, his inadequacy, his cowardice, his failure to honor your worth, return unfiltered, demanding he face them head-on. Jung's wisdom resonates. We encounter in others what exists in ourselves. Your loyalty, your love, your resilience were never weaknesses. They were strengths he couldn't match. Now, too late, he recalls the moments he overlooked, your kindness, your patience, your belief in his potential even when he was blind to yours. These memories don't stem from love, but from the terror of loss. He realizes what he took for granted was never guaranteed. You're no longer his, not because someone else claimed you, but because he relinquished you through his neglect. He can't return, not because you're vengeful, but because you've stopped waiting. For women who felt love slip through their fingers, this is your anthem. You are not defined by his failure to see you. You are defined by your courage to see yourself. As you forge ahead, the silence within you transforms. It's no longer the silence of pain, but the silence of peace. You no longer obsess over his whereabouts or his choices. You don't check his posts or wait for his name to light up your phone. The internal war has ended, not because you've hardened, but because you've come home to yourself. His name no longer stirs pain, his voice no longer sparks longing, his attempts to reconnect elicit only indifference. not cruelty, but completion. You're not punishing him, you're free. This freedom is the most devastating truth he'll ever face. Not that you left, but that you no longer look back. For every woman who's felt discarded in love, this is your victory, not in his regret, but in your rebirth. He may tell himself, I'll find someone else. But deep down, he knows no one will love as fiercely, care as deeply, or see his potential as clearly as you did, even when he was unworthy. Women like you don't return. You don't vanish with a scream or a vendetta. You fade from his reality, leaving behind a lesson he'll carry forever: the cost of underestimating you. Your absence becomes his mirror, reflecting not just his loss, but his failure to be the man you deserved. For women who've poured their hearts into love only to be met with pain, this is your reminder: you are not the love you lost. You are the love you give yourself, and that love is unbreakable. You are no longer bound by his gaze. You vibrate on a frequency of peace, no longer drawn to those who destroy. You become a magnet for those who respect, honor, and cherish you, because you respect, honor, and cherish yourself. This transformation isn't fleeting. It's rooted in your core, unshaken by external judgment. Your silence, your freedom, your refusal to be diminished become a fortress no one can breach without your consent. He faces not just your absence, but your sovereignty, a force he can never control. For every woman who's felt love betray her, this is your call to rise. You are not the pain he caused, you are the strength that survives it. Your true power as a woman lies not in proving your worth to a man, but in never needing to. Silence, departure, peace, these aren't signs of defeat but of maturity, of self-love that radiates from within. When you rise to a place where no external opinion defines your inner state, you become unstoppable. You don't lose, because you've found yourself. And in that discovery, you stand beyond his reach, a quiet but absolute triumph, not over him, but for you. Your life is no longer a reaction to his choices, but a creation of your own. You are the heroine of your story, and this is your victory, not in his regret, but in your radiant, unapologetic rebirth. For every woman who has felt love shatter her heart, know this: you are enough, you are worthy, and you are whole. Choose yourself, and watch your world transform into one that reflects your light.